We know that in the history of fashion, there are pieces that come out of nowhere and gradually become a timeless and classic icon that leaves its mark on the industry. And of course, society. Yes, that's the case with the famous trench coat. But what does the Burberry trench coat have that has turned it into a timeless fashion icon? Isn't it just a raincoat like any other? Well, my friends, it's not. Behind that beige trench coat lies a whole history of ingenuity, functionality, impeccable style, and reliable protection that has transcended wars, decades, and generations, always with grace and sex appeal. So get comfortable and let's begin this journey. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated on our design explorations. Now let's dive in. The Burberry trench coat is more than just a piece of clothing. It's a symbol of style, sophistication, and the best of British character. Every line and detail carries over 100 years of history and craftsmanship. When we think of Burberry, we picture the unmistakable beige trench coat with its iconic checked lining. It's a garment that goes beyond trends, timeless yet always relevant. Its story goes back to a time when practicality and protection against the elements were crucial. It all started with Thomas Burberry, the innovative mind who, in the late 1800s, created a new fabric called gabardine. This fabric was wind and water resistant thanks to a special weaving process, while still allowing air to circulate. The exact recipe for Burberry's gabardine remains a brand secret, but it was undoubtedly a lifesaver for British soldiers facing harsh conditions during World War I. And thus was born what we now know as the Burberry trench coat, or simply trench coat. A design that incorporated useful features such as protective flaps, shoulder straps, and an adjustable belt. But Thomas Burberry went even further by combining style and functionality. Using his own gabardine fabric, he produced the first trench coat that was both elegant, durable, and comfortable to wear. When World War I broke out, Burberry was well positioned to take on the challenge of equipping the British Army. By 1914, the company had already begun adapting its designs to the needs of infantry soldiers. Burberry's creation that would become a staple was a T-locken, a precursor to the trench coat that incorporated straps and buckles for a better fit. This proved to be ideal for trench areas, as it was long enough to protect against the cold and moisture. So, when the First World War began, the trench coat had already won over officers with its features, making it perfect for the battlefield. Thomas Burberry's trench coat had a length that kept it from getting muddy in the trenches. It also featured a belt with rings for soldiers to attach their weapons and tools. There was a small cape over the shoulders on the back to shed water. In the front, a small flap allowed for ventilation, and the collar had a button for attaching gas masks. And here's another really innovative thing Burberry did. He tackled the color issue, which later became an iconic visual feature. You see, the English preferred lighter colors back then, which wasn't common because uniforms were usually very colorful, often reflecting national flags. For example, the French had red pants. There are reasons for this. Sometimes colors can be intimidating or make a strong impression. The English, known for their simplicity, preferred a lighter color, and the trench coat is known for its light shade. Let's remember that the army didn't use typical camouflage fabric. Why? Because they thought it was dishonorable not to be seen. They had to show their courage in war. This is important because this coat also represents courage, heroism, and patriotism, which is why ordinary men later wanted to wear it too. It symbolizes, to some extent, patriotism and the spirit of soldiers. And that's how the Burberry trench coat was born, in its typical khaki color, with practical features like storm flaps and an adjustable waist belt. Burberry also made versions of the trench coat for other forces during the conflict. For example, they created one for the Royal Air Force, with a split back for more comfort when sitting in an aircraft. By the end of the war in 1918, everyone in the military knew how useful and effective the Burberry trench coat was. The success was overwhelming, and by the 1920s, The Burberry trench coat was already a wardrobe staple not only among the armed forces, but also in civilian attire. The iconic checkered lining, inspired by traditional Scottish shepherd designs, sealed its identity as a British luxury brand. By that time, Burberry was already producing its own fabrics in factories in England. The process of making gabardine is extremely meticulous, requiring the finest cottons that are woven and then naturally waterproofed with vegetable oils. The result is a superior quality fabric, smooth, durable, allowing airflow, and protecting against the elements. A perfect fabric for the iconic trench coat. But 20 years later, when another world war broke out, Burberry faced a new challenge in terms of innovation. Once again, they stepped up to the task. Just like during the First World Conflict, Burberry was already working closely with the military in 1939, before the war was declared. They had improved the protective features of their gabardine trench coat with extra large storm flaps and internal belts while keeping their unique style. However, despite being worn again by officers, the coat started to lose its military look in the 1940s, as Hollywood's golden age brought it to the public eye. In 1942, many were moved to tears as they watched Humphrey Bogart say goodbye to Ingrid Bergman in the foggy final scene of Casablanca. Bogart, wearing a fedora and a Burberry trench coat, became the epitome of a modern gentleman. But that's just one example. It also helped that Audrey Hepburn looked elegant in one in Breakfast at Tiffany's, Marlene Dietrich in A Foreign Affair, and Meryl Streep in Kramer vs. Kramer. The trench coat became a symbol of brave men and smart women. However, by the late 1990s, the constant exposure started to erode the brand's aura of exclusivity in consumers' mind. Burberry risked becoming too commonplace and losing the luxury status that had always defined it. In 2001, Burberry welcomed a new CEO, Angela Adrance, and a new creative director, Christopher Bailey. Together, they reshaped the brand's identity for a new era. One of their first important moves was to tone down the iconic check pattern on accessories, reserving it for trench coats, cashmere scarves, and select lines. This was aimed at preserving the exclusivity of Burberry's signature element while maintaining sales. At the same time, Adrance and Bailey launched a full-scale makeover for the brand, aiming at a younger, trendier, and more modern audience. They introduced a new line, Foursome, which was designed to be more sophisticated, daring, and higher priced. Burberry Foursome trench coats became more alluring. Classic checks were replaced with cinched waists, transparent fabrics, lace, and luxurious details. Soon, runways and ads featured celebrities like Kate Moss, Cara Delevingne, and Eddie Redmayne with a fresh, cool, and undeniably sexy Burberry style. But beyond famous faces, Burberry's transformation called for a digital overhaul. To appeal to new audiences, they needed to dive into the online world dominating pop culture. With Christopher Bailey leading the creative charge, Burberry embarked on an ambitious digital strategy. They became one of the top luxury brands in innovation and digital presence, allocating 60% of their marketing budget to digital efforts. They opened online stores in 45 countries, streamed fashion shows in 3D, and became the leading brand in Facebook followers. Bailey didn't just focus on selling products, he cared deeply about how it was done. This continued until 2018, when he stepped down as creative director, leaving behind a brand nearly 150 years old, but completely reinvented. Even with the brand's rich history, today, crafting a single trench coat still involves over 100 steps, all done by hand by skilled artisans at Burberry's factory in Yorkshire. The attention to detail and quality is exceptional. Seams are carefully stitched and sealed with beeswax for waterproofing. Buttons, made from natural horn, are hand polished and dyed. Even the famous checkered lining, made of pure silk, is woven from scratch for each trench coat. And the personalized experience doesn't stop once you put on the renowned garment for the first time. Burberry offers an unmatched customization service called the Trench Bespoke, where customers can choose from 6 classic models in various colors and lengths, add embroidered initials, and even select unique details like a lining with their clan's tartan. From the cut and length to personalized touches, customers can create their own unique piece. This focus on customization reflects Burberry's dedication to individuality and personal style in fashion. The customization experience isn't just about fitting the garment to specific measurements. It also involves the customer in the creative process. Choosing from various cuts and styles ensures that each Burberry trench coat is unique and perfectly matches the wearer's taste and style. Every Burberry trench coat is special to its owner. Burberry's impeccable style and reliable protection have made it a cultural icon that's loved across generations. You see it in movies, on runways, and in books. Famous figures like Audrey Hepburn, Kate Moss, and even Queen Elizabeth II have made it unforgettable. And its versatility is unmatched. With its waist cut, it looks just as good with casual jeans as it does with an evening dress. You can wear it with sneakers for a relaxed look, or with leather boots and pants for something bolder. The Burberry trench coat adds instant class to any outfit. There's no doubt that this piece has a remarkable legacy. Even today, it's one of the most practical items for rainy weather. It's evolved over time, from muddy trenches to glamorous runways, yet it never forgets where it came from. It's still that versatile, never dull piece that instantly elevates any outfit. And what's even better is that Burberry's experts have achieved all this while maintaining the traditional craftsmanship. Each trench coat remains a handcrafted masterpiece, meticulously detailed. So if you've had the chance to own one or are considering it, share your experience and thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video and you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and hit the bell icon to receive more content like this.